Have you ever stopped to think about the footprint you leave behind when you travel? I mean, we all love exploring this amazing planet, right? But what does the planet get in return? Today, we're digging into the future of travel itself and asking a huge question. Does its fate rest on the shoulders of the youngest, most connected generation out there?
And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Tourism is this massive global engine for economies, creating jobs and lifting up communities. But at the exact same time, all that success can seriously damage the very environments and cultures people are traveling so far to see in the first place. It's a real paradox.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the two faces of tourism, the good and the bad. Then, we'll get a really clear handle on what sustainable tourism actually means. After that, it's time to meet Gen Z, and we'll ask the big one, are they an opportunity or a threat here? And finally, we'll chart out a roadmap for the future.
So, first things first, let's talk about the sheer scale of tourism. We're not just talking about a little vacation industry. This is one of the largest and fastest growing economic forces on the entire planet. And its impact, well, it ripples out everywhere.
And this is really the core conflict, the double-edged sword of tourism. On one hand, it's an absolute economic lifeline, especially for a lot of developing countries. But on the other, if it's not managed really carefully, it can chew up natural habitats, totally overwhelm local cultures, and create some pretty deep social divides. The ultimate challenge is, how do you keep the economic benefits flowing without destroying the very things, both natural and cultural, that people wanted to see to begin with?
So how in the world do we solve a puzzle like that? Well, the leading idea is something called sustainable tourism, and it's basically a blueprint for a whole new way of thinking about how we travel.
The whole concept actually comes from this bigger idea of sustainable development, which was famously defined way back in 1987. The key phrase here is, without compromising the ability of future generations. It's really all about fairness between generations. Asking ourselves, are the choices we're making today kind of stealing from the people who come after us?
So, what does this actually look like in the real world? It's so important to get this. Sustainable tourism is not just about being green. It stands on three equally important pillars. You've got the environmental one, which is all about protecting nature. Then there's the social pillar, which is about respecting local people and making sure they actually benefit. And finally, the economic pillar, which is about creating stable, long-term prosperity that's shared fairly, not just siphoned off by big companies.
All right, so we've got the problem and we've got a potential solution. Now let's bring in the main characters who are basically inheriting this whole situation, Generation Z. Just so we're all on the same page, let's see where Gen Z fits. They're the folks born after 1996. So today, there are teens and young adults. They come right after the millennials, and, this is key, they are the first generation that has absolutely no memory of a world before the internet.
Yeah, that constant connection to technology is really their defining feature. They are true digital natives. For Gen Z, a smartphone isn't just a tool. It's completely woven into their identity, how they make friends, and how they see the entire world. They can find information and build global communities with a speed that previous generations couldn't even imagine.
But it's not just tech that shaped them. Think about it. They grew up in the shadow of economic recessions, constant global conflict, and the ever-present threat of climate change. That's made them incredibly pragmatic, fiercely independent. They're all about self-expression over just fitting in. And while they are super aware of global problems, sometimes their engagement stays online, what some people call clicktivism. And listen, here's why this matters so much. By 2030, Gen Z is the mainstream. They're going to be the world's central workforce and consumer base. Their values are going to reshape, everything.
Which brings us right to the heart of this whole explainer. You have this really complex goal, sustainable tourism, and then you have this totally unique, digitally wired generation. So, do their traits actually line up with what we need?
Let's just put the question right out there. When it comes to making travel and tourism sustainable, is Gen Z going to be the catalyst for change we've all been waiting for? Or could their unique characteristics actually become a roadblock?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it shows the central paradox of Gen Z. Their greatest strengths are also, in a way, the source of their biggest challenges. So on the one hand, their tech-savvy nature is a massive opportunity. They can research ethical travel in a heartbeat and promote sustainable brands to millions of people online. But on the flip side, that very digital life can create a disconnect from the actual physical, natural world. Their strong individualism can be a powerful engine for change, but it could also clash with the kind of community-focused, all-hands-on-deck effort that real sustainability demands.
So it's pretty clear this isn't a simple yes or no answer. Which leads us to our final section. Where do we go from here?
What does the road ahead actually look like, knowing all this?
So what's the crucial point? It's that Gen Z isn't some magic bullet solution. They are a powerful, strategic variable in the equation. Their digital skills are an unbelievable asset for spreading awareness. But the real challenge, for them and for the entire travel industry, is to build a bridge between that online awareness and meaningful, on-the-ground, real-world action. For anyone in a position to make decisions, the message is crystal clear. You have to understand the culture of Gen Z if you want to harness their incredible energy for good.
And that leaves us with one last, really fascinating question to think about. This generation just lived through a global pandemic that completely turned travel, work, and our connections upside down. Has that experience, and this whole rise of the new normal, permanently changed their relationship with travel, with nature, and with social issues? Will it push them closer to the ideals of sustainable tourism, or maybe further away? Honestly, that's a story that's still being written,